is real talk, baby, and we're feeling fine.
Well, hey there, movie minions. You have entered the grid of Real Talk with Twisted Kid Matt and Jason Emmett. Matt, I'm excited about today's topic, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really stoked about this. Obviously, I am.
Yeah, you've been. We'll just let you admit how long you've been waiting to talk about Tron in some form on the show.
I've been a fan of Tron since 1982, man.
You've been mentioning it briefly here and there for the entire run of the mixtape. Like,
yeah, and we've had a couple of Tron Ares videos released for the updating, and
I mean,
big fan. I've been a fan of Tron since I was a wee lad of 6 years old, man.
Go ahead and point over your shoulder too, for the record.
Nobody can. Well, there's some Tron stuff behind me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Some up there, but I've also got over there an entire shelf full of Tron collectibles and memorabilia from the movies and the toys, and I got a Comic-Con token for Flynn's Arcade over there. I've got all kinds of stuff. People have sent me stuff over the years. It's been really cool. Yeah, I've been a fan since I was 6, since it came out. Grabbed hold of my heart and then just wouldn't let go. I held on tight, man. So yeah, they've got the new Tron Ares movie coming out, and we've released a couple of videos for the movie minions, just talking about updates and behind the sets photos and stuff. But you and I decided on a Real Talk we were going to take on the franchise and then discuss a little bit about our thoughts on the upcoming Tron Ares and where we think it's going to go. So for me, I think my love for this film is because it's just visually stunning. It's just a masterpiece. It's stunning. It was this fantasy world that as a kid, I really wanted to be a part of. I remember seeing this and being like, I want to go inside the computer. So the movie itself starred the ever awesome Jeff Bridges as Ken Flynn. He's a computer programmer who gets tossed out of the company Incom by Ed Dillinger, aka or slash Stark, we will say, played by David Warner. He then breaks in with the help of Alan Bradley slash Tron, played by Bruce Boxleitner, and Laura Bain slash Yori, played by the lovely Cindy Morgan, who unfortunately we lost not that long ago. They break into Incom. They want to find proof that they ripped off Flynn, and get his name back. And basically, he created a bunch of video games, and Dillinger stole the video games, and that was that. He gets sent into the computer, and he has to face off, play video games against the Master Control program. Again, guys, remember this is 1982. So this was one of the earliest films to use computer-generated graphics in a large portion of the film. This movie and The Last Starfighter. So a lot of times when you get online or whatever, you'll hear people will like compare the two. And as a kid, like for a long time, I was like, why are they compared? I mean, there's a video game in The Last Starfighter, but then I found out why. But what makes this movie so crazy, Steve Leisberger, the director, one of the writers of this film, has talked about this. He basically said they've never made a movie like this before. They've never made a movie that looked like this. They haven't, but they've never made a movie the way I made this, and they're never going to make a movie the way I made it again, basically, because it was so painstaking for them.
Pain in the ass staking.
I mean, yes, they filmed everything on like a black screen. It was like an old process that he learned about. And then they put each frame over a lit board. So all the lights you see through the suits and the backgrounds, all that is done frame by frame through a board. There was no computer. Like they were playing with computer generated graphics, but there was no computer to process this shit. One of the other things that I may or may not have talked about, I know we did an episode on the mixtape where we bring up Tron. It's not a full Tron episode, but movies that changed the industry, I think, is what we talked about. And one of the things that they did on this, that I may have brought up on that, I'm not sure. You can check. God knows.
Go there and give it a listen.
They had to use mathematics and geometry to figure out where the layout of stuff was, because they would then put it in a computer and it wouldn't take hours. It would take literal like days before they could see the final product, and they couldn't change. Like they didn't know if it looked right until they saw it. So they had to process it and wait and then look at it and make sure it fit. So they were using math and equations to make sure things were in the right spot. It's nuts. And I think that's the thing. This was 1982. Again, I want to reiterate that. And people saw this and it was visually like, right? And everybody was like, oh my God. but they didn't know what to make of it because it's 1982, and it's like computers weren't what they are today. Everybody has a computer. Your phone is probably a faster processor than the computers they were using to make this movie.
And probably even faster than the ones we're filming this episode on, to be honest.
They say like, and this was 10 years ago, they said the processing power of an iPhone was more than they had to send for space shuttle or whatever. And so it's like, it's crazy.
God.
But that's my point. People saw this and they're like, okay, this looks cool, but I don't know what I'm seeing. This is even early video games. I mean, you think it's 82, it's not a lot of video games aren't even that. They're starting to become very popular. So it made money, but it didn't make a lot of money, right? It didn't lose money at the box office, but it wasn't a blockbuster. But it looked so cool, and they could have left it. They could have never made another one, and this movie would have been an icon in movies, right? But that wasn't the case. They decided, we're going to do a sequel. Weird thing is, it was almost 20 years later. It was actually over 20 years later when they decided we're going to do a sequel. That was 2005, and it still took another 5 years before Tron Legacy would actually hit cinemas, right? I was so excited. I remember hearing they're doing a Tron sequel, and I was like, dude, like I was worried, I was scared, but I was also very excited. Bigger budget, much bigger budget, much bigger movie overall, and it did really well. It made quite a bit of money in the box office. Some people will say it didn't, some people will say it did. It actually did. The problem is they put a lot of money into promotion, but it made more money than they didn't lose anything they actually earned on Tron Legacy. Visually, this one is, I mean, like, wow, man. It looks so cool. They did exactly what they needed to do. We are now in 2010. If we're going back in the computer, now everything's updated. Everything looks cooler, man. Everything's real sleek, and I love it.
Yeah.
So I'll synopsize this real quick. Legacy actually picks up the story in the future, 20 years in the future. Only now Kevin Flynn has become this big corporate mogul since he cleared his name with Incom, and now he's in charge of Incom. He's also a humanitarian, and he believes this thing called the grid that he has created is going to offer a sort of new frontier, a new utopia for people to explore. Then one day he disappears. He just flat out disappears. No one knows what happens to him. Flynn's just gone. So 20 years pass, and his son Sam discovers that his father has entered the grid. And he never made it back out. So Flynn has gone back into the computer and he never came back out. He's presumed dead. So then Sam gets pulled in the computer. He uncovers a bad version of his dad named Clue. He's taken over and turned Tron into this badass bad guy warrior program. And his dad is actually still alive, just trapped inside the grid. We also find out about the ISOs, programs that are actually creating themselves naturally inside the computer. And Clue wants he wants no part in that. Clue wants that stopped because he wants total control. This movie was one of the first movies to do the de-aging face effects, and I know a lot of people give it crap. Jeff Bridges actually isn't even that happy about it, but I'll be honest with you. The only scene where it doesn't work for me is there's one scene at the beginning that's in the real world when he turns around and says something to his young son. Mm-hmm. Anything in the computer, I'm okay with it looking a little weird because, again, they're computer programs.
The computer, yeah.
So having a program of Clue that looks like a 20-year younger version of Flynn, that works for me. And, again, 2010, they've come a long way with the age. But, again, it's something.
If you think of it, Clue would, and correct me if I'm wrong here because I'm not as familiar with this whole franchise as you are. Clue is basically a copy, right?
Sort of, yeah.
There you go. He's a copy. Like copies are never necessarily exact. So,
like I said, inside the computer,
it's not that bad. But yeah,
to give him kind of a weird face. In fact, I think what they should have done is put some of that kind of face on everybody in the computer, and then it would have just looked like it was supposed to be that way.
Yeah,
they didn't know.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, guys. Just spoiler alert. At the end, Sam gets out of the computer with Cora, one of the ISOs that you see on the screen there, into the real world. They get back out. And that's where it ends. And they were talking about a third movie actually before they even released Tron Legacy. There was already works for a third movie. The problem was a movie called Tomorrowland. So I don't know if you've seen Tomorrowland. I have. I saw it actually at the theater, and then I watched it again about a month ago because I'm like, I remember it not being horrible, that I don't really remember it that well. So I watched it again. It's not. It's kind of boring. It's
Yeah.
just really kind of boring, and I don't really know where they were trying to go with it.
I think I
But the
tried
problem,
watching it.
it's has its moments that are good, but there's not. It's just weird. It bombed. Tomorrowland tanked. Like they lost all kinds of money on it. It's considered one of those like Uber, you hear blockbuster flops. This is one of them. So that caused Disney to start shuffling around properties like, whoa, what are we going to work on next? We got to stabilize this company, right? And when that happened, the third Tron movie, which again made money, it made quite a bit. It made like $300 million. But considering now that movies are making $1 billion, they shuffled it. It got pushed back and ended up in development hell. That was it. Nobody talked about it again for a long time, except for one thing. One thing really cool did happen. We get 19 episodes of an animated Tron series called Tron Uprising. That happened in 2013, so a couple years after the movie. This was intended to kind of bridge the gap between Tron and Tron Legacy. And I'm going to tell you right now, it is a remarkably good, like, cartoon animated series. We'll call it an animated series. The issue was they released this on Disney Plus, or I'm sorry, Disney XD. This is before Disney Plus. And little kids weren't really the right audience for this stylized and kind of mature themed show. I recommend watching it. It is on Disney Plus now. You can watch it on Disney Plus if you want to. As for a third film, and I will tell you this, what happened with Tron Uprising, they gave us one season. They were going to do a Tron Uprising movie in between there. Real quick, though, the downfall of this was they put it on Disney XD, which is targeted for kids like 7 to 11. And it didn't pick up numbers. I mean, it had a steady audience, but never grew. And so what they do, they move it to midnight. So, of
Yeah.
course, that
All
was it.
those 6 to 11-year-olds are really staying up that late to watch Tron Uprising.
If
So
you get on not IMDb, well, IMDb, but if you get on Rotten Tomatoes or get on the any chat room talking about Tron Uprising and read the praise for the show, people absolutely love it. It looks great. The voice acting's killer. I mean, Jeff Bridges, Elijah Woods, like it's great.
Oh, so Jeff Bridges does a voice in it?
Yeah, so Tron is in it. Elijah Woods is the main character, but Tron is training him, and Clue is in it. Like, there's all this stuff. It's definitely going to bridge the gap and explain things like how everything went bad when Clue went bad. All this, it's wonderful. Watch it. Be upset that they didn't give us more.
Paul Rubens is in it.
Yes, he is. There's supposed to be a movie. It didn't get made. Some of the pages got not leaked, actually released for the movie script for Uprising online by one of the like director or producers, I think. And people have read those pages and are like, oh my God, why haven't you made this? And I've gone on record saying, Disney, either make the movie or release it as a graphic novel. Give us something. That would be awesome. But whatever. As for a third film, well, there was a very weird road that they had to drive for this whole thing, which
On
we're
a
going to
light
get
cycle?
into. There you go.
There you go. All right.
We're going to get into that. But before we move into Tron Ares, Matt, I want to ask you your thoughts. I mean, I know you've seen Tron and Tron Legacy.
Yeah.
What are your overall thoughts on those two movies as part of the franchise?
Well, I saw Tron years ago, probably before I ever met you, actually, and I was just like, that's a cool movie. It was on this list of the top 50 or top 100 cult films of all time that I had,
Sure. Yeah.
and I literally like carried it around in my pocket as like a checklist, and every time I would watch them, I'd take it as smartphones, and I would cross it off as I would go. So I'm seeing like
Fun.
all these Eraserhead, Pink Flamingos, all these just weird movies that are just kind of cult films, and Tron was on there, so I eventually crossed it off. So it was good to have. And at that point I was just watching it to watch it because it was on this list of things I needed to check out. I didn't really realize the importance of it at the time. and I've since gone back and watched it again a couple times. Actually, just watched it about a week ago for this, and damn, like knowing the making of, like
Yeah.
behind the scenes stuff, it's like groundbreaking is probably the easiest term I could think of right
Oh,
now.
absolutely.
Like it blows my mind that in 1982, when I was a year old, that movie came out, and I can't think of any other movie that looks like it other than Tron Legacy.
Yeah. Well, even Tron Legacy looks different,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
like an updated.
yeah.
So
They took the technology we have now
imagine
and
this
just
6-year-old
did it.
kid seeing this on a
Yeah.
screen,
No,
and I was just like,
get it. Like,
yeah,
if I was your age when that came out, my parents would have been like, "What? What? Okay, I guess we're taking you to see this movie." Like, it's knowing my parents that it wouldn't have been, something that they would be into watching either. But and I don't think even now my mom still probably wouldn't watch Tron, but um yeah, I kind of forged my own which way, yeah, my own movie interests over time, and um now at this point in time, like Tron is something that I actually enjoy. Like,
yeah.
it's great. Um Definitely ahead of its time, especially with all the computer terms that they're using, and like they would say
Some of
something
them
like
aren't accurate.
RAM, and I'm like, that's not what that
Yes.
means, but okay.
Ram is one of the characters,
Yeah.
and which RAM in real life means random access memory. What's funny is RAM in the movie, I
Now,
think, is an actuarial program that does, like, accounting or some shit.
here's my question though. Which came first? The name of of random
Probably
access
random
memory,
access memory. I mean, you gotta
or
figure
did they name it after
com
Tron?
computers didn't become popular in households till
Yeah.
the late '80s, but computers themselves have been around for a long time. I think the late '60s is when, like, a lot of it started becoming so
I mean, I could
probably
literally look this up. I just
probably
can't
the
feel like
term.
it. Yeah.
Oh, Tron oh god, I know this. The word Tron comes from oh my god, I forget. It's taken TRO and Tron is taken out of something like an actual term or word. I can't and it's just because I'm old, guys, it has nothing to
The
do
only
with
thing I can think of is the Gravitron,
it's not, no.
the carnival
Electronic.
ride,
Oh, I'm so stupid. Tron comes from electronic. Yeah, so
Electron. Yeah.
yes. So
Yeah, okay.
I think they were just using words that kind of fit, and if you ever can I should have
This sounds
found a clip.
computery. We'll use
I should have
that.
found a clip because the original test screen, like not test, but test of the computer generated Tron is like a totally different looking character. He looks like a Viking. It's kind of weird, but there's like a little teaser thing where they were experimenting with it. So you guys should go find. I should have found it and placed it in here, and if I can find it, I will place it in right there. But yeah. So and then Legacy, obviously, you probably saw that in the theater because you were a little bit older when that one
Um, I
happened upon
Yeah, I think I went and saw it in the theater. I can't honestly remember if I did or not. But
2010.
2010, yeah, it was probably a date Connie and I went
I
on.
think my fear for, like, Legacy is, like, what are they gonna do with the light cycles and stuff? Are they gonna pull this off? They were awesome. Like, the light cycles in
Mhm.
Legacy are awesome.
Yeah, like flipping around. They're not like, okay, in the first Tron, they're only going in straight lines, 90-degree angles,
Right.
crashing into walls.
And not
In
yeah.
Legacy, they're not even staying on the ground. They're flipping around, doing spirals and all kinds of
It's
stuff.
funny that
It's
you say that.
crazy.
It's all goes back to the mathematical thing. They were limited in the first Tron, which is why there's the 90-degree angles. It wasn't that they were like, "Well, we want it to be this." It was, "That's what we can do," and then it worked. It worked, and then the technology upgraded, and so the movie upgraded, and the light cycles upgraded, and it works. It's
Yeah.
just very cool.
I
The
feel like there
original
was
Tron
a
was
Family Guy sketch of them, like, doing the 90-degree turns and, like, just getting destroyed.
the original Tron was yellow too, and yellow was going to be used, and then they ended up blue for the good and red for the bad, which is sort of a weird thing, which we're gonna get into again here in a
I was
minute.
gonna say, and the Warriors in Tron Legacy were yellow.
Yeah, a few of them were kind of an
Mm,
orangey yellow, but that's
yeah.
not yeah, there's yeah.
Hmm,
Good point. One of the things
primary
I was
colors.
very happy about Legacy is they kept the like lit up background or lit up scenes and the cool looking stuff, and then the backgrounds just looked like an empty grid because that's what they should be if depending on who's creating it. They didn't like put all this weird shit off in the background like through the skies and stuff like that would have been unless it looked like it should be there. But I don't know if I'm making sense, but it looked like a grid that was being worked on. So I don't know. It was big fan. We are going to take a break here for a real quick word from our sponsors. Please stick around. It's like 25 seconds. We don't inundate you, and check out our sponsor because they're pretty freaking cool. Anyway, now we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the upcoming Tron Ares, which is what you guys are probably here for anyway. We're going to give our thoughts and opinions on where we know they're taking it and our thoughts and opinions on some of the people in it. So we will be right back after this. Head over to bustedtees.com. Find all your geeky apparel, t-shirts, hats, stickers, socks, whatever, with cool game and movie and TV inspired stuff on it. I promise you're going to like this stuff. And at checkout, if you use my code Jason25945, you're going to get 20% off. That's bustedtees.com, promotional code Jason25945. All right, so let's get into Tron Ares. This is going to be interesting because I don't know how I feel about this yet. I don't know how I feel about them. There's a lot of back and forth with another Tron movie. We won't put you through all of that. If you can go read about the history and the road to get to Tron Ares if you want. But let's jump to 2017. 2017, we start hearing two things. Two things start getting mentioned. Reboot. We start hearing the word reboot thrown around a lot, and we start hearing Jared Leto being thrown around a lot. Those rumors persisted. They kept persisting, and I was already a bit nervous because reboots can be good, assuming they don't poop all over the original canon. But Leto, he has that awful version of the Joker, and we also have Morbius, which didn't do great, and House of Gucci. His characters are just not known to be that great. I'm going to ask you. Really
those
quick.
are all Jared Leto.
Those are all Jared Leto.
I know the one on the far right is
left is House of Gucci.
Okay.
So I want to ask what are your overall feelings on Jared Leto as an actor? I'm kind of curious to know where you stand on him. Yes, I agree.
It's so hard to say without sounding like a complete asshole.
I concur.
So, okay. I think he was great in Dallas Buyers Club.
Okay.
Fantastic in that.
Which is what everybody brings up, and that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. He was also in Fight Club. He's in Fight Club.
He was in Fight Club, but I mean, whatever. He's basically a background actor.
Right.
In that, with the weird bleach blonde eyebrows. Like, okay. But
so
okay. You're
speaking.
This is legitimately like how I have to say it without. I'm going to come off like an asshole, and I already know. So, Suicide Squad, right?
Yeah.
It is what it is. The first one, not the second one. That's named the exact same thing. Totally different cast.
The first one's Suicide Squad. The second one's The Suicide Squad.
Oh, okay. Well, there's, I guess, huge difference there. By the way, totally different movies, and one is far better than the other.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the Joker, he's a wild, crazy guy, and you want to be a method actor. There's a fine line between being a method actor and being a dick. And everything I've heard of everyone's experiences on the set working with him as the Joker, it was just like, wow, he put used condoms in a box and sent it to me. Oh, he gave me a dead pig.
Oh,
he mailed me rats. Like,
because he thought that was method.
Yeah, that's just weird.
Let me get your thoughts, because I've said this about him a lot. I want to see if you agree. This is what I say about Leto. To me, Leto is a not as good version of Johnny Depp, meaning if you control him, keep him in back, rein him in a little bit, you're going to get a good performance. If you let him go, you're going to get Joker. And he wants that. He wants to just, same with Depp, he wants to be let go to do whatever. And that just, you can't do that with Johnny Depp. And I can give you some examples of where that's went really far south. And I feel like if Leto is reined in, he can do an okay job.
Yeah.
but it's how much freedom are you giving Leto? That's my first worry.
Yeah.
That is my first worry for Tron Ares. And we've released 2 videos talking about news and stuff. And from the comments, that's a lot of people's worry about Legacy is Jared Leto. I've gotten multiple comments where people are like, yeah, but Jared Leto. Like, I know. Trust me, I know.
I want to know if he was like this on God, that show he did on MTV when he was real young.
I didn't even know he did.
Yeah, no, he got started on
And then
My So-Called Life.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I think that's what it was.
Did you see
So-Called
Haunted
Life.
Mansion, the remake of Haunted Mansion? He's in that too.
I
He's
saw
like,
about half of it because I was asleep through the other half.
it's really just it's fine, I guess. It's kind
Haunted
of
Mansion
so
is
boring.
something that you would think I would really be into.
Well, they just don't do it right.
Eh,
The idea behind the reboot was okay, but
Yeah.
they just didn't do it right, in my opinion. And there's great actors in it. I do
Yeah.
want to state that, but it was kind of boring. I am going to try to give him the benefit of the doubt, but let's face it, his recent choices have just not been good. So
Considering it's Disney and they like to have full control of everything, they probably went, none of this weird Joker shit. You're not really a computer program.
But then
You
comes my
can't,
next fear.
you know,
So even if you're right about that, and they do get him under control, it's the
don't
plot
sign your
synopsis.
contract in binary code or something. Like,
It's right. He probably will. Let me give you the plot synopsis though, and then I'll explain why this is freaking me out. Tron Ares follows a highly sophisticated program, Ares, who is sent from the digital world into the real world on a dangerous mission, marking humankind's first encounter with an AI being. So I read that plot synopsis and I'm like, no, don't. I don't want them to take the story outside the company a little bit because I know Legacy was doing that too. But I
yeah,
don't want
a
to
little
see.
bit.
I said this in one of the videos. I don't want to see light cycles cruising down Main Street. I want to be in the grid. I want to be in the computer. It's like when they took the dinosaurs off Jurassic Park and threw them into the normal world. It sounds cool. They get what they're doing, but it misses the point of the original altogether. Like, what's cool about Tron and Tron Legacy is they are taking us inside the computer. That's cool. Now, I'm not saying that they maybe they come up with a story that works and it is cool, but all the behind the scenes stuff I've seen thus far has literally been in the real world.
Yeah.
And him walking around in that Ares suit, which looks pretty cool. Although I don't understand the back thing because how is that going to be a disc? It's going to be remember how you can get the like frisbees
boomerang.
that are that angle or whatever. And there is a blurry behind the scenes shot that we are all pretty sure they blurred it out, but we're pretty sure is a light cycle coming up a car ramp.
Right up there.
And so I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about that. What are your thoughts? Like, do you think that's going to work?
I mean, honestly, I kind of I'll give it to you both ways. Like people like you who are, what did you say?
I said, yeah, I bet you will. You're like, I'll give it to you both ways. Listen, we are not that kind of show.
Harder, better, faster, stronger. Daft Punk. Anyway, which we'll get to a little bit. For people like you who've been invested in it since 1982, I can totally see the concern on that. As far as like, no, don't take it out of the, but for people like me who kind of came into it a little bit later and don't have as much of an attachment and just kind of see it as like, oh, these are really cool movies. I'm kind of going to look at it as that type of thing is kind of happening in the real world a little bit. Is not necessarily in a physical being, but like AI actually affecting the real world.
Sense time wise.
Yeah. But not like, don't give it to me in my Tron. I get that.
Well, it's not even just that. It's what you just said though. Like it's going to be a different movie. It's not really going to be a Tron movie if it's not taking place. That's number one. Number two is he's just going to be, if he still has the same abilities, he's just going to be a freaking superhero in the real world. And that's, and we want to see the fights. We want to see the disc fights and the light cycle fights. Yeah. And I'm sure they're going to put that stuff and they have to, right? It has to be in here or else what are they doing? Like it may be a cool movie.
Because honestly, it just looks like he looks like a biker. if
little
he's
bit,
in the real world. He's
a little bit.
just wearing like biker armor.
God, I hope he's cut his hair. Um, so one of the things we mentioned a few minutes ago was I said in the original Tron and even in Tron Legacy, for the most part, the good guys were blue, lit up blue, and the bad guys red. He's in a red suit, so I don't know. Like, we don't know. Is Tron Ares, like, is he a bad guy or is he a good guy? We literally don't know much about his character. For all we know, like maybe they sent other people in. No one really knows. Now, Jeff Bridges is in this. He's filmed his scenes already. He's done. He was very impressed. He was talking about being impressed with Jared Leto on the set and being impressed with the sets. So that's good.
Here's another theory. What if he's a program that got corrupted?
Which is done in the video game, which I highly recommend playing Tron 2.0. It was a really fun game, and that's where I
Didn't
would
even
have
know
loved
there
to.
was a video game.
Yeah, and I would have loved to have seen a story
Cool.
go there. A virus gets into the system because of a corrupt program.
The virus, maybe he's a
And
virus.
it's actually Alan Bradley's kid instead of Sam Flynn who's in the video game that has to go in and clear it. Which would be cool too. And maybe you're right. Maybe he has to go. I don't know. And I'm hoping, although there's been zero any rumblings of it at all, that we would maybe see cameos of Cora and Sam. I have a feeling if they do that, it's going to be one of those like post-credit scene type things because no rumblings of them have been mentioned at all. There's a cool cast in this. There's a really cool cast. Gillian Anderson is in it. We know that, which is really cool. Evan Peters, I like Evan Peters a lot. And so I like there's a really cool cast coming into this. So there's hopes. There's hopes for me. Like I said, we don't know if he's a good guy, a bad guy. Maybe he starts off as a bad guy. Like we don't know anything.
Yeah.
The
Could
filming
be
is
a redemption arc for Ares.
By the way, for those of you who don't know, this is coming out next October. Not this coming
Hmm.
October, 2025. Filming has actually wrapped on it, but this is going to be a high. Like they're going to have to do a lot of effects work and stuff. So we've got a little over a year before it actually comes out. So eventually we'll start seeing teasers, things like that. We have none of that. I keep punching my desk. I'm angry. No, it's accidental.
He's like, Jared
Getting
Leto.
worked up. I'm getting worked up. It's just the way it
He's all
happens.
sweaty. Just,
Then you mentioned something else. So the original Tron, all the music is done by Wendy Carlos, and it fits. It's great. It was all done with. She actually got a little angry because she is known for being this. She's like a synthesizer composer, right? She did that. What was it? Real famous like Bach or switched on Bach, whatever it was like. All this done with like electronic stuff. It's a very famous album. It did really well. And then they called her in to do the soundtrack for Tron. And then they got the London Philharmonic Symphony to do stuff with her. And she actually got a little mad because they put more, like too much in it. She didn't care for it. I love the soundtrack of the original Tron. And we also have Journey on there. They have a song.
Yeah. That was
and
part of my preparation for this episode was listening to the soundtracks for both of the films that are out. I have thoughts.
Legacy.
And you're going to hate them.
Legacy. Well, I'm going to hate your thoughts. Oh, I disagree with you vehemently on if you're gonna say what I think you're gonna say about Tron Legacy, because Daft Punk. First of all, getting Daft Punk in was just a stroke of complete genius.
Yes.
Legacy.
Yes.
I freaking love the Tron Legacy soundtrack.
I
what
agree.
are your thoughts? Okay, what are your thoughts?
I'll just read my text to you the other day that you blatantly ignored.
I didn't ignore it. I've had graduation.
I'm sure you read it and went, asshole.
Yeah, that's what I said. I already know what you're going to say because I read your text.
My quote was, "Dude, the Tron soundtrack out of context is just really weird."
It was Tron, not Tron Legacy. Well, sure,
it was the original Tron, yeah, and it is just like.
Not really, not a lot of womps, but
when you listen to it,
yes,
just through your headphones at work, just
Sure.
random like
no, that's
single
fair.
note, like okay. When you said Wendy Carlos got mad, did she take her anger out on the soundtrack itself? That she
No, she got mad because when like they were putting a lot of the orchestra stuff in on top, like almost in some parts more than she wanted them to. They took a little more
Okay.
control than she wanted.
I
No, I
just
get what
I
you're
was
saying out
wanted
of
to know if she
context.
was playing that synthesizer with her middle finger, just like
But I also don't know how many people would be listening to the Tron soundtrack not knowing that that's what they're like. There's going to be some context. I
now.
doubt many
For
people
the record,
drop
there
it.
are some songs on that are just great. Like
Yeah.
the you can listen to on their own.
Yeah,
The
like
Journey
the
song is
theme.
not one of them.
I don't like it either. And it's out of place, but it's an 80s thing, you know. You had to try to have a hit song, right?
Yeah.
Legacy doesn't do that. It's all just Daft Punk.
Yeah. And there
With
are
some Jeff.
songs on there. Derezzed
Yeah,
is great.
So good.
Oh my god, I can't think
So
of the
good.
titles of the songs, but yeah, that I've gone back several times and listened to just individual songs off of the Tron Legacy soundtrack, and it's
It's
fantastic.
great. Wonderful.
But
So there's
yeah,
my
like,
question.
and then you put Daft Punk in Tron Legacy, and
They
it's
were
just
in
like,
it.
yes,
They
this
fit. They
makes
fit. They
sense.
made sense being in the movie.
Yeah,
So there's your question.
they are robots.
What are we doing for Ares?
Oh shit. Okay. I mean,
Like,
Daft
I would
Punk's not
love
together
to think
anymore,
I would
technically.
love to think they would get together to do it. I don't even know if they've been approached. So who do you get? Daft Punk made so much sense. Yeah, there's electronic, EDM stuff out there, but I don't
Yeah.
know who would fall in that category. I hope they either get one or both of them back to do it.
Yeah.
But I would imagine, who could probably pull it off? I know this sounds weird, guys, but follow me for a second.
Okay.
Trent Reznor could probably do it.
Actually, that would be really cool.
And I think he would have fun with it. And I bring
Yeah.
this up because people are like, Trent Reznor, Nine Inch Nails. Yeah, and he composes. But if you go listen to the soundtrack for the Facebook movie, what was that called? I forget what it was
Social
called.
Network.
Social Networking. I didn't know that was Trent Reznor at first, and it's got a very like computery sound to a lot of it, and he might be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think he would
And I'm
have.
sure he's seen Tron a couple thousand times.
Yeah, I think he would have. I think he would do right by it. I think he would do right by it. But that's been a question on my mind for a while now. Like, so who are they going to get to? And that's important. That's very important for a Tron movie, man, because the Daft Punk album sold really, really, really well. Like, it did really well. They have a special edition vinyl, which I want to get my hands on, but it's very expensive and sold out everywhere. It looks like an identity disc, and I can't find it.
By the way, for the record, I listened to
I
like
have the
extended
soundtrack.
versions of both of these soundtracks.
I have both of them on vinyl, by the way.
Nice.
Original for the Tron one, but
now going a little, off the rails a little bit, off the, the grid. End of line. Do you think theoretically, if this were to happen, if Daft Punk not only did Tron Ares, do you think that they could do like a concept album where they took the original Tron and just sat down and made a new score for it, like
that would be cool.
their version?
You know what? I
think that'd be
that would
awesome.
be really
personally.
cool. By the way, there's actually a remix album of the Daft Punk did a remix of the Legacy album. If you haven't heard of it, it would be really cool.
I think that is part of what I listen to.
Since they're technically broke up as Daft Punk, I don't know that they won't work together again. They just might not call themselves Daft Punk. I don't know. Wouldn't it be cool if them plus Wendy Carlos did Tron Ares?
I mean, it'd be Derez with thrown in there every once in a while too, but
it's a lot, dude.
I know
this is no longer the 80s. I mean,
I'm busting the balls of
that would be really cool.
41-year-old movie.
Get Wendy Carlos involved with. I'm really hoping they get one.
That'd be really awesome, actually.
I'm hoping they get one or both of the members, at least one of the members of Daft Punk. I'm sure they'll
or Trent Reznor.
I'm sure they'll probably try, but bring her on. Let her work with them. It would be like a really cool throwback, and that would, I think, help a lot of the fans. Yeah. Look, I'm going to tell you, man, like I said, we've released 2 update videos regarding Ares when we've gotten news, and we'll release more. And it's mostly fear and hesitation. There are like look, Disney, I'm telling you this now because I know you watch our shows.
Yeah. Well, they might, just due to
straight up, guys. Your first teaser had better be good because there is a lot of fear from fans. And if you don't have the fans, you're screwed because they're going to be probably 60% of your audience.
Yeah.
There's going to be people that go because you got a younger Jared Leto in there, all that. But there are issues. We don't even know if Tron, the character of Tron, will be in this because this is a soft reboot. So we should probably explain for the few of you who don't know the difference. I won't go real in depth here, but the difference between a remake and a reboot. A remake is they pretend almost like the first one didn't exist. They're remaking that film. A reboot is an attempt to regenerate the franchise, so it is its own kind of branch of the story, but it should not affect the canon, meaning the stuff that happened previously is still part of that world, but this is a offshoot kind of thing. So will Tron even be in this? Because in full honesty, Tron's in the last one, but he's not. He never even takes his mask off. But he's cool, man. He does all these cool flips and throws, and it's really neat. But if you're going to do Tron, you at least have to incorporate the name Tron in there somewhere. And let's not do a Karate Kid thing where it's actually kung fu that the kid's learning in the one with and Jaden Smith's one, and they just pick on him and call him Karate Kid. Like it makes no sense. I am glad they're tying those two together. I think that's really cool. That they're going to do another Karate Kid, and they're putting Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan in it together, which is really cool. But yeah, let's not do that. Let's not just throw the word Tron in and say that that makes it a Tron movie that gets on my nerves. Like actually make it important to the story. I mean, they've done it now, so whatever.
Side note: how old would Mr. Miyagi be now if it was a present day Karate Kid?
Oh God,
It literally just takes place because Pat Morita, like, he's been dead for many years.
Deceased for a while, yeah.
And like, how old was he supposed to be in the original Karate Kid?
Well, he fought in like World War II, I think. So you can do your math if you want. That was the 80s, so that would have been 40 years. He would have been probably in his 60s, easy, if not older. So, and that was 1980, like 3 or 84, so somewhere in there.
Jackie Chan playing Mr. Miyagi.
Well, he's not. Jackie Chan plays a different character
in the Jaden Smith one.
Oh God, this is a whole thing, isn't it? We should do a Karate Kid episode.
We absolutely should, because
so to completely tangent off just for a brief second. Yes, those movies aren't the same. So even though they call it the Karate Kid, it takes place in China and it takes place with a different kid. And no, he's not playing. He's the same type of character. He's the kid. He finds a kid that's being picked on and trains him.
Okay,
but
I've seen it. I just apparently didn't
he's
pay
not
attention.
Mr. Miyagi. No. So they're combining the two worlds because they're basically saying they're not different worlds. They were just different characters in the same universe.
Oh, okay.
So here's Daniel.
I see how they do that.
There's Jaden. Although Jaden Smith isn't in it, there's a new kid, and they are going to come together and train him, which I think is kind of cool and kind of so there.
As long as somebody crane kicks somebody else in the face, I'm fine with it.
What we're saying is Ralph Macchio is starring as Tron. Apparently,
that would be amazing. He just
weird.
It's like
that's on, wax off. You know,
Real Talk predicted it. Oh my God!
Then we look over and Cousin Vinny walks out. He's like, "The two youths." I'm sorry.
It's not Ready Player One. It's Tron.
Which I'm wondering if they're going to make Ready Player 2. I actually got to read that book because I read Ready Player 1 and I love the movie and I love the book. And if you, I recommend the audiobook because it is Wesley Crusher. Will
Wheaton.
Wheaton reads the audiobook, and who's better suited for it than Will Wheaton?
Yeah, that's true.
And there is there a light cycle? No, I think the light cycle was the one thing I was upset was missing from Ready Player One. But
I thought there was one in the.
Maybe there is. It's been a while.
I haven't seen it myself, but I remember the trailer having like literally everybody in it.
I feel like light cycle was one thing I kept looking for them to be driving. They have Akira's bike, which is kind of cool.
That might be what I was thinking of.
Yeah, bike. They're supposed to be doing a live action version of Akira.
I've been hearing about that for a while.
Anime fans are really rough, though, man. They get really pissed off.
I personally don't want to touch it.
What, Akira?
Anime.
Oh God, in general. I'm one of the ones that usually kind of likes the live action anime stuff, and people hate it. I'm like, oh well, I guess I should keep my mouth shut because I don't get beat up.
They are legion.
You get very angry, and I get it. You don't want your property screwed up. Hey
But
man,
we
we're
don't
talking.
either. That's why
That's
we
what
don't want Tron Ares to be screwed up, right?
Yeah. Then
Get us back on track.
I'm
Yeah.
hopeful.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to give it the benefit of the doubt. I always say, guys, it is such a thing now, especially here in the wonderful world of 2024, to attack a movie before we even get a trailer. Let's try not to do that. One of the big ones going on right now is The Crow. And listen, I get it. If anybody gets it, it's me. I've put the videos out. I've talked about this. I don't think they should call him Eric Draven. I think that is the big misstep. I have the question out there kind of floating around right now. How many people would be okay with the movie if they called him something else? And I think they should have, but it doesn't mean that it looks like a horrible movie. I think it looks pretty decent. And
It
I like
looks
the stars.
great, but
I'm gonna walk in and hope I like it.
yeah.
And I'm gonna walk into Tron and hope that I like it. I'm gonna see Tron on opening day.
Yeah.
If I can
He'll
see
be
it sooner, I will.
dressed in the suit and everything.
I
Which,
will.
by
I
the
wish
way,
my chunky ass
I want to
was
say
in
this.
Tron suit.
Shout out to Tron Guy. You remember that dude from
I
YouTube?
do, and that's what I would look like, and that's why I'm
First
not
off,
doing it.
that dude, holy shit, man! You had the balls to put that suit
Literally.
together years. That too, yeah. I was gonna ignore the Captain Three Bump situation, but
That's why I don't wear one. My
first
friend.
off, I mean, you can wear a cup underneath it, whatever. But he had the passion for Tron when there was one Tron. There was only one Tron. There was no talk of a second one.
Correct.
He made a suit. He wore it. He put it out on the internet. He had, like I said, he had the balls to do it and just owned it. And now, kind of getting redemption of that original film, getting a whole franchise now. And he was like, yeah, I've been saying this whole time. Like, you guys should have been listening to me. It's great.
It is great.
So, yeah.
I
Plus,
understand
the costume looks great, man. It looks awesome.
These might not be for everyone, by the way. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. But I think there's enough in there for action, and especially in Legacy. Like, there's enough for everyone to really get into it and like it.
Let's reach out to Tron Guy.
And
Let's
I
do that.
really don't want them to break my heart, Matt. I'm praying they don't. But look, even if it isn't good, even if it sucks really bad, and I'm hopeful it will turn out great. But even if it isn't, this isn't going to take the first two movies away from me.
Correct.
And Uprising, it won't take those away. I still have them. Look, I can do it with the Matrix films. I can ignore all of them, but the first one, I can do it with anything. It's like because those just keep getting worse. They don't get better, in my opinion. They just keep getting worse. So and I'm not a hater. I can dislike something.
Just crushes a lot.
Shut up. I can dislike something and not just poop all over it. I will with my friends, but not to the public because somebody likes it.
Yeah.
That's something to remember. And
he'll poop all over it to all of his friends who might also
that's
not like it or might like it.
We all can joke around and talk about it, and not but
yeah.
So let's, guys. What I'm saying is, Tron Legacy is coming, or sorry, Tron Ares is coming. Let's try to go in with an open mind. Let's get back on once it does come out and have a discussion here online with you guys and get your actual thoughts, not some BS where you just get angry and like it. I mean, if you don't like it and it makes you angry, that's
justify
okay.
it. Say why.
Tell us why. I mean, I may not like it. You may see me on video going, yeah, look, oh God, dude. And everybody's watching it right now because Madam Web just came on the Netflix and I watched it.
I saw that it came on there.
Oh God. Everything
I might have to watch it.
Everything they've said is true. It is horrible.
I think we might have to watch that later tonight then.
How does this happen?
Yeah.
Who watches or who read this script and went, yeah.
I'll tell you, the trailer looked really cool.
Yeah, it's not that.
Okay.
It's not that trailer. I've had my question to people has been, I've asked a couple people, I said, based off the trailer alone, and I won't have you answer this because I don't want to get into that discussion right now.
I haven't seen
based
it
on
yet,
the trailer alone, what do you think this movie is about? And then when they tell me, I go,
oh
yeah, no, not really. Like, I mean, kind of, that's sort of in there for a couple of minutes. There's some stuff. I'm going to tell you this before you watch it. I'm not going to spoil it. I watched these guys talking about it, and one of the guys said, Yeah, so right in the middle of my own movie, I'm going to leave that movie to go do another movie, and leave that plot for a week, so I can go do one scene, and then we'll come back. And that's just now that hearing that, wait till you watch it because I
Okay.
laughed so hard when you said that. I'm like, yeah, that is accurate. So Tron, though, guys, I'm telling you, if you want to go have a bad time, watch Madam Web. But if you want to have a good time, watch the Tron movies. I highly recommend these. Uprising, I do recommend it if you can. Some people aren't into animated stuff. I understand that. Uprising's great. There's also Tron Betrayal, which is a comic book series. If you were into that, again, a lot of this ties this stuff back in. But I do recommend these. I am looking forward to Ares, and I'm nervous, but I am looking forward. And we will hopefully eventually we'll get a teaser, and maybe it'll come out and we'll be like, okay, I see where they're going here, or maybe it'll come out and I'll be like, damn it.
Yeah.
So we don't know.
We'll have to do a follow-up
If
episode.
there are any
when it
tattoos
comes
on
out.
Ares' face, I'm done. If he's got a silver grill, I'm out. Like, it's just not
If it's just like circuit lines,
God. You know, he probably did that. He's like, what if I had like tattoos of no, Jared, no. All right, guys. I want to thank you guys for watching and for checking out all the videos. For those of you who have been supporting the channel, thank you so much. It means the world to us. Please do that thing that we beg and ask on every single video. Please like this. Please share this. Please subscribe to the channel. As you will see, we do a lot of videos, and we have more stuff we are working on in the future. I keep hounding Matt, but he wants to start doing a sort of review of older kind of weird movies, like weird stuff he watches, just like small mini reviews on
like
that.
some of the stuff off that cult movie list could end up on there.
Yeah, and we may do some different stuff down the road too. Actually, we will be. We've been discussing some of that too. Like we will explain where for those who are new to this channel, where Twisted Kids even comes from, because some people don't know. So subscribe to the channel. There's content that comes out multiple times a week, letting you know updates and stuff about movies, breaking news when we get it. And so please subscribe. That's all we got this week. We will come back again with some more real talk about some franchise. I think we have some stuff we've been discussing, possibly talking about. So we will see which the next one will be. But we will be back again probably in a week. So we thank you guys. Matt, why don't you do your thing?
All right, everybody. Until next time, keep it twisted and keep it real.
There you go.